Welcome to the quick video tutorial on animation. In this tutorial, I'll demonstrate how to configure animation to create a visually impressive digital signage presentation, as well as to use the animation to create a kiosk or a touch solution. So with that, let's begin. And just as a quick side note, in this tutorial, we're going to be focusing on our latest Sign Player PWA. If you are using our legacy Signage Player Air version, we do have a separate video tutorial on setting up animation and transitions for that player. So let's jump right in and configure some cool animation. So here I have just a blank scene, and if I go to animation, you'll notice that by default it's set to inherit, which means that whatever parent element it's in, it's going to pick up its own animation from the parent. But in this case, it's just a regular scene. It doesn't really have a parent, it's just a root scene. So for example, if I go ahead and add maybe a label, and I preview, you'll notice that really nothing special happens. Just the text. However, if I enable animation on the parent element, in this case the scene, if I select the background, I can go ahead and override and select whatever type of animation I want. And now this element right here is going to pick up the parent animation, the scene animation. So what I'll do is I'll just go ahead and make it a little bit bigger and give it a color, and we'll copy and paste it. And we'll preview the scene, and you'll notice that the labels simply picked up the animation from the parent element, in this case the scene. However, let's say that I want different animation for the first item. I can go and basically say I don't want to inherit from the parent, I want to override it, I want to have something else. So let's go ahead and pick something cool like this and click on play, and you'll notice now that the first element, the text, the label, behaves differently since we are able to override the animation for this particular item. So that's simple enough. Now if you want to further configure the animation, you can go to advanced and you'll find all these properties. So you can set the on begin, so you can control the fade, the move, intensity, the type. If you have, for example, text, you can make it so it types itself automatically. You can set the direction of where it's going to come from. So we'll go ahead and set a few of the properties. You can also set if you want this to always happen, sometimes happen. So you can basically set how often this particular effect will occur. So in this case, we're just going to go ahead and set the direction. We'll also set the scale to always change, and we'll take off the rotation. We'll also set a blur. So let's go and check it out. So we'll copy this and paste it. So we will have two elements that are going to behave the same, and the other ones will have the previous animation, and works as expected. Now if you add another label, and let's say I want to apply the same animation, all I have to do is simply select this text, go to the configuration, copy the animation, and paste it over here. Simply go to override. Just you can click away from this and go paste, and you'll notice that now this new label will have the same animation as these two text boxes since we've copied the animation over. And you can also confirm that in the properties as well. So let's go ahead and preview, and you see that it behaves the same way. So we're able to copy and paste animation configuration between one element and another. So this all pretty much relates to the on begin. So you might be wondering, when does on end and on play come into effect? So the on play will basically happen after the on begin. So let's go ahead and set the on play to be enabled, and we'll set it to do something funky. Maybe go ahead and do always a fade and always rotate, and we'll set the duration to be 33 seconds and go ahead and preview this. So this will be in the middle after the on begin completes. And notice that now it's going back and forth for 33 seconds. And now you must be wondering, okay, so I get the on begin and I get on play, which will run after the on begin. But what about the on end? How do I set end? So this really only comes into play when you have collections or playlists or some kind of component that plays items one after the other. So let's go and do that. We'll go ahead and switch to the apps and components, select the playlist. Now, if you select the playlist and go to its animation properties, of course you can override, but in this case, we're just going to keep it as inherit. So it's going to pick up whatever animation the scene itself has, the base element, where it resides in. And we're going to go to its properties, click on the plus sign. we can switch through scenes or images. So in this case, we'll just switch only through some images, insert them, and you'll notice right now that if we play, it's going to use the base scene animation to flip through the items, and it's going to be every 5 seconds. So you'll notice that it has the same slide from top animation, which is cool. But let's say that we want to have something that behaves differently on the way out of each particular element within the playlist. So for that, let's go ahead and first of all set the duration to be 1 second, so it switches quicker through the playlist items. And by the way, you can use the playlist here on the bottom to move the stuff around and to change the duration of each element. So in this case, what we'll do is we'll keep it as 1 second for the first 3 items, and the fourth will be for a little bit longer, for 2 seconds. And now we'll switch over here to the animation, but this time we're not going to go and inherit. We'll configure its own animation style, and we'll set the override. And you'll notice that we're going to go ahead and select something like this for the on start. However, on the on end, we'll go ahead and maybe select some sort of a role. And so what's going to happen is that when a slide comes in, it'll play the on start, but when the slide comes out, it'll play the on end. And let's go ahead and preview this. So you see it's coming, and then it's going with a roll out. So that's where the on end will come into play. So the on end will really just come into play when you're dealing with collections or playlists or type of components, when it plays items one after the next. JSON player, JSON viewer, these are all type of components that you can see right here under playback that will allow you to have this type of behavior. So in most cases, you'll be dealing with the on begin and maybe sometimes an on play. The on end will really shine when you're working with the playlist. And as you remember, we simply selected the on end through our preset. So we're able to select it from here. But also if you wanted to, you can simply go over here and then further modify it however you like for the on end. So you can use the presets just like before, or you can configure it as you like. So in this case, what I'm going to do is just to demonstrate, I'll set the always on the move. I'll give it a direction. So it's actually going to go ahead and move up on the way out, and go ahead and preview this again, just to show you that you can completely customize how the on end operates. You don't have to use the presets. And you'll notice the beer will fly up on the way out, just as expected. Pretty straightforward. Now, if you wanted to build a touch platform, you can select a button, or for example, you can select an image. So just go ahead and select a button, drag and drop a button, and you can configure the animation for the on touch, and you can change, for example, the scale and how it's going to behave. And if you want to see this in action, what we'll do is we'll actually log out of our studio, and we'll go ahead and click on create account, and we'll scroll to the bottom. And you'll notice that we have a whole bunch of different templates that you can create accounts with. And these are touch templates that are actually powered by the animation engine. So let's go ahead and select one to see how it works. So this in effect will be the animation with the touch enabled. And you can see that you can create really fancy configurations. It's really up to you. We're using here the loader, the collection, the playlist. So all the different components that we have in the platform support the animation engine. Now up to this point, we talked about the animation tab. Now we also have the effects tab. So let's go ahead and add another label. And go this time to the effects. And the effects can be added in addition to the animation, and they're also compatible with our legacy player as well. So in this case, we're just gonna go ahead and switch to the shadow, which is a drop shadow. Select a preset, and you can see that we've added a preset. So you can combine multiple points of animation on the effects as well. in addition to the animation, so you can create pretty elaborate setups. Let's go ahead and preview our configuration and notice that we have our text shadow that's moving around. So the effects tab allows you to add additional points of animation that are going to coexist with the animation that you've selected through the animation tab. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and thanks for watching.